There is a dumpster on your street. Maybe it's parked on a quiet crescent in Oakville. Maybe it's blocking a driveway in North Vancouver. And when you walk past it, you notice something that stops you cold. Inside that dumpster are cabinets. Not broken cabinets, not water-damaged cabinets. Perfectly functional, solid wood cabinets being torn out and thrown away to make room for a $200,000 designer kitchen. You know this neighbor. You wave at them on garbage day. You know, roughly, what they do for a living. And you know, roughly, what that pays. And it is roughly what you earn. So you stand there on the sidewalk doing quiet arithmetic in your head, and the arithmetic does not work. The salary is ordinary. The renovation is extraordinary. Somewhere between those two numbers is a secret, and today we are going to pull it apart. Because here is the truth. Almost nobody says out loud on your street, your neighbor did not save for that kitchen. They borrowed it. Let's talk about exactly how. In Canada today, the average family is not funding these renovations out of a patient, disciplined savings account. They are funding them out of the walls of the house itself. The instrument of choice is the home equity line of credit, the HELOC, and it has quietly become one of the most powerful and most dangerous financial tools in the country. A HELOC lets you borrow against the equity in your home, right up to 65% of its appraised value. Think about what that means. As home prices climbed through the last decade, homeowners didn't just get richer on paper. They got a larger and larger credit limit, refreshed automatically every time the market went up, and Canadians have been reaching for it. As of late 2025, outstanding HELOC balances across the country climbed to nearly $180 billion, the highest level since 2019. That is not the number of a nation that saves for its kitchens. That is a nation quietly using its houses as giant ATMs. To understand why that is so dangerous, picture your home equity as the hull of a deep-sea submarine. Under normal conditions, that hull is the single thing keeping you alive. It holds back the crushing pressure of the ocean, the pressure of the outside world. Your equity is supposed to do exactly the same job. It is your buffer. It is your protection. It is the reserve that keeps financial pressure from ever reaching you. Now picture taking a blowtorch to that hull, cutting a hole in the one thing protecting you, on purpose, just to install a nicer window with a better view. On the surface, in calm and shallow water, it looks spectacular. Everyone admires the view. But a HELOC-funded luxury renovation is precisely that cut in the hull. It looks beautiful right up until the moment you dive into deeper water. And in finance, deeper water means one thing: higher interest rates, or a lost job, or a market that turns against you. Here is where the real cost hides itself. Many homeowners eventually decide to clean things up by rolling that renovation debt into their mortgage at renewal. It feels responsible. It feels like the grown-up thing to do. It is neither. Consider a $100,000 renovation. On the invoice, $100,000. Flat. But finance that amount at a HELOC-style rate of around 5.5%, stretched across a 25-year amortization, and that renovation stops being a $100,000 renovation. By the time the final payment clears, you will have paid close to $185,000. That is roughly $85,000 in pure interest, quietly stacked on top of every quartz countertop and every soft-close drawer. The sticker price was never the real price. And here is the part that stings. Unlike a loan taken out to earn business or investment income, the CRA offers you no deduction whatsoever on interest borrowed to renovate your own home. Every dollar of that interest is paid with fully taxed income. There is no relief coming. But some of these renovations are not funded by the homeowner at all. They are funded, one generation up, by the bank of mom and dad. And in 2026, that particular bank is doing more heavy lifting than at any point in living memory. Increasingly, parents are handing their children what is effectively an early inheritance, and often they are borrowing against their own home equity to do it. The children get their quartz countertops and their imported tile today. The parents quietly carry the debt or drain the retirement account tomorrow. Which brings us to the second picture you need to hold in your head. Imagine you are watering a lawn, and that lawn is your lifestyle. It is lush, it is green, it is genuinely the envy of the street. But follow the hose. Trace it all the way back, and you find it is connected directly to a pond, and that pond is your retirement. Every single day, the grass grows a little greener, and every single day, the level of that pond drops another inch. The neighbors admire the lawn, the dinner guests compliment the lawn, Nobody, not one person, ever checks the water level. Until one dry season, the family reaches for the pond, and it is simply gone. Now, here is what makes 2026 different and genuinely more dangerous than the years that came before it. For a long time, homeowners told themselves a very comforting story. It's fine. The renovation adds value. I'll get it all back when I sell. In a rising market, that story was almost true. In today's market, it is a fantasy. The Canadian market has stalled. In the Greater Toronto Area, benchmark prices are sitting around $930,000, down roughly 7% from a year earlier, with the average home now taking around 47 days to find a buyer, far longer than it did just 18 months ago. Out in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver's benchmark has slipped just as hard, hovering just over $1 million and still drifting lower. Read that carefully. You are pouring $200,000 into a kitchen so that you can impress a buyer who, right now, does not exist. And the appraisers know it. This is the part homeowners refuse to believe until it happens to them. A high-end finish does not automatically raise your appraised value the way you assume it will. Spend $100,000 on imported stone and custom millwork, and in a flat, oversupplied market, the appraiser may credit you only a fraction of that back. The rest of it becomes what an economist calls, very coldly, a sunk cost. Gone, spent, unrecoverable. Which brings us to the ice sculpture. A luxury renovation, in a market like this one, is an intricate ice sculpture carved and set on your front lawn. Today it is magnificent. It is detailed. It is dazzling. It is the envy of everyone who drives past. But the sun of interest rates is always shining on it, and it is always melting, just slowly enough that you never quite panic. If you can sell fast, you capture that beauty and cash it in. If you cannot, you are left standing there with exactly two things: a puddle of debt and no sculpture. So how do you actually renovate without walking straight into the trap? You change the entire goal. You stop renovating for applause, and you start renovating for cash flow and durability. First, prioritize the projects that lower your ongoing costs. A more efficient furnace, real insulation, sealed, updated windows. These are not glamorous, and they will never appear in a magazine, but they pay you back every single month, in every season, for as long as you own the home. That is a return you can bank. Second, do whatever you can reasonably do yourself. Paint, hardware, fixtures, landscaping, demolition. On almost every renovation invoice, labor is the single largest line, and it is the one line you can attack directly with your own two hands and a free weekend. Third, live by the 10% rule. As a hard discipline, never sink more than 10% of your home's total value into any single renovation. The moment you cross that line, you are almost certainly over-improving for your street, spending money you will simply never see again at resale. 10% keeps your ambition tethered to reality, which leaves us with the real lesson. And it is a lesson about equity versus aesthetics. Somewhere on your block, right now, there is a house with an original 1990s kitchen, laminate counters, honey oak cabinets. Not a single surface in it would ever be photographed for a design magazine. And the people who live inside that house may quietly be the wealthiest household on the entire street. Because instead of pouring $185,000 into a hull breach kitchen, they left their equity fully intact, and they built a seven-figure TFSA that nobody driving past will ever see. The dumpster on your street is not a monument to wealth. Very often, it is a monument to debt, wearing the costume of wealth. Because real financial security almost never looks impressive from the sidewalk. It looks like an old kitchen, a mortgage that is nearly gone, and an investment account no visitor has ever shown. So the next time you feel that flicker of neighbor envy, remember the submarine, the pond, and the ice sculpture, and then ask yourself the only question that actually matters. Are you building equity, or are you just melting it, one beautiful renovation at a time, in front of an audience that will forget your kitchen the moment they drive away? If this video helped, hit like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.